It's time for today's travel and cruise industry news. With the latest from travel and cruises around the world, here's your host, Chillie Falls.
Hey, good morning and welcome to the Travel and Cruise Industry Podcast. On this, the third day of December 2025, coming to you from my studio in Forest, Virginia. It'll be my studio for another couple months. Of course, today's show is brought to you by Will US, the owner of Scoot Around, and by Chillie's Cruises. We do have some news this morning, and of course, we do have a special guest. Unfortunately, it's going to be one special guest instead of two because of the really crazy schedule they're on, but that's okay. We'll get to our guest here shortly. And we do have a little bit of news, not a huge, great news day, but we will have some news. So let's run over the headlines real quick. Port Canaveral overtakes Miami is the lead story. Also today, Discovery Princess named the coolest way to see Alaska. The Overboard search continues and then dies. Philly breaks ground. Cruisers could face another new fee. MSC and UNICEF. And a traffic alert for Galveston. That and lots more live here at 11 o'clock. Today. All right. If today, folks, is National Roof Over Your Head Day, as long as you're not sleeping on the streets, you got a roof over your head, be thankful for that, folks. I'm thankful for the roof that I have over my head, the roof I'm going to have over my head come February 24th or 5th, whatever it is that I get to Kentucky. But just be thankful for that. That's a little bit unusual for today. All right, this day in history. In 1818, Illinois became the 21st state to join the Union. It's kind of interesting that that's today's fact. Because I think one of our guests has a little something to do with it, had a little something to do with Illinois, which I'm going to ask him about here in just a little bit. All right, I need to go over a couple things real quick before I get to our guest. Most of you know that I had my first of 3 iron infusions yesterday. I thought it was going to be like my Lupron injection. I was going to go into the cancer clinic. They're going to have me pull my pants down, stick me in the butt with a big long needle, and I was going to walk out in 15 minutes. No. 2.5 hours. I was there. And then the intravenous thing, they put it in my forearm. And that hurt like hell. But anyway, got it done. While I was there, my blood pressure was a little low. Not drastically, but a little low. I had a PT session this morning. My blood pressure was low this morning. After the PT sessions, before I got ready to set up the studio for the day's show, it was low again. So I got another call in to my doctor to see what the hell's going on with my blood pressure. Systolic has been down to 95. Now, that's not good. So that's the latest going on there. So much with the personal stuff. Let's get on to our special guest for today. I think the first time I met them was probably back during the pandemic when, Pete and John and I were doing the Cruise Amigos. I've sailed with them a couple times. We've talked a bunch of times. They've been on this show before. I consider them probably 2 of my best friends, and they're 2 of the absolutely huge content creators now anywhere. JJ Cruise. So with no further ado, here's my buddy Jordan. Jordan, welcome back to the podcast.
Hey, Chillie. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me on, and thank you for the kind words. It has been, I was thinking about it. It's been a few years since I've been on your show.
Yeah.
And it's been a few years since we've sailed together. I think the Vloggers Cruise was the last time.
The last time we've sailed was on the Vloggers Cruise. That's correct.
Yeah, it's been too much time has passed.
Too long. All right, now I got a question for you. What do you you wear so damn many hats between you and Jared. What do you consider yourself? A content creator, a YouTuber, a travel agent? What do you put yourself in a category?
It keeps flip-flopping back and forth. It goes by month right now. It's like whatever we end up taking more time on, whether it's editing, maybe in October I was a YouTuber, and then in November, between Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and all the other, sales going on, I would kind of be wearing the travel agent hat way more. So we lead with travel agent. I think when we're introducing ourselves to people that don't know us, but of course the content creation is a huge part of what we do, and that's how we started in this industry.
Yeah.
Is we started as content creators, so it kind of flip flops back and forth. But you're right, we swap the hats out.
All right, now you might have to correct me on that. I might have my timeline screwed up on it. You and Jared met in Chicago?
We did. You're correct.
Yeah.
We met in Chicago in 2015.
Okay.
Got married in Mexico in 2019.
Right.
And then we left Chicago during the pandemic. And we're based out of Northern Indiana now. So near Notre Dame University, South Bend area.
Yeah. All right. When you first got rolling back in those days, how did your journey begin from you guys being in a show in Chicago to becoming YouTubers / content creators / travel agent? For somebody that doesn't know JJ Crew from Adam, tell us how that got going.
I love this question. This is one of my favorite questions. So I grew up cruising with my parents. They took me on cruises. I loved cruises. And about 2 years into dating Jared, I told him, I said, we need to go on a cruise. I want to get you on a cruise because I love them so much. And at that point, I hadn't been in a few years. So he agreed. So I bought a Groupon to go on board the Carnival Conquest for just a weekend cruise. Night one, we both got food poisoning. Day two, there was like a massive, I don't want to call it a fight. It was almost like a brawl on the pool deck. And a lot of people got in huge trouble. And it was just a series of unfortunate events. Jared, walking off that ship, said, never, ever, ever again will I get back on a cruise ship. I was heartbroken, Chillie, because I grew up loving cruises.
Yeah.
And I thought I cannot believe that this was an epic fail, because I knew how great cruises could be. So I convinced him to get back on a ship by taking friends. I said, hey, let's go with a group. There was 8 of us from Chicago, and we got on Harmony of the Seas, and it was a totally different experience. He fell in love with the entertainment. He loved the food. We didn't get food poisoning, so that was a really big plus. And as you and I both know, cruising with people makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
And it can be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So from there, we started our cruising travels, I guess you could say. And we started to cruise a lot more. And one weekend, we found ourselves on Navigator of the Seas. We went to the LGBTQ meetup there on Navigator of the Seas, and we ran into a guy, and his name is Brandon, who later would become the Weekend Cruiser. So this is all before YouTube, okay? Sat down, met Brandon. We're having a drink, and he said, I cruise every single weekend. And we were like, our minds were blown by that. We were like, oh my gosh, you get on a ship every weekend? He's like, yeah, I'm here every weekend. And he was with a couple of friends who did the same thing. And so that sparked a conversation between Jared and I as to how we could do that. How could we cruise more? How could we be on ships like these guys that we just met? And YouTube kind of came up in that conversation. He said, well, what if we started a YouTube channel and just started to film what we did? It would give a little bit more purpose and give us a little bit more reason to be on ships. And that's how JJ Cruise was really born. And then about 18 months or 2 years after we started, Brandon started his channel. And now,
Yeah.
he does a great job and covers a lot of solo cruising, a lot of short cruising.
He's been
And
on
it's
this
so,
show before too.
oh, has he been?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So like, it's just I love looking back at how all of that orchestrated, within the universe. Like we met Brandon, none of us were on YouTube. And out of that, we kind of sparked this idea and we were inspired by him to start our YouTube channel. And then he, wanted to start a YouTube channel after he saw us do it. So,
was there a point when you said, "Ooh, we could turn this to a full-time gig"? Was it then, or was it after that, or?
So it was, I think, February 2020 when we were getting ready to board Anthem of the Seas out of New York, and there was a COVID scare. And this was, when COVID was brand new. And we were delayed by 2 or 3 days from getting on that ship. And we were like, oh, let's make update videos from our hotel room. We're stranded in New York City because of this new COVID thing. And that was the first time we had a video get like over 1,000 views. And it was right around that time that we were able to monetize the channel, and we discovered what monetization even was. We went in so green. We didn't know much about YouTube and how it worked. So at that point, we had the idea like, oh, we could probably turn this into a job. And then COVID happened. And we did one live right like in end of March 2020 from our house. And we got a lot of backlash on that live. We got a lot of emails, a lot of, just people reaching out to us on Facebook and Instagram saying like, this is really insensitive to talk about cruising. People were still stuck on cruise ships at that point.
Yeah.
So we pulled the reins all the way back. And we did not post anything on YouTube for a year because we didn't really know what we should do, what we shouldn't do, what was going to happen out of the pandemic. And around February or March of 2021 was when I looked at Jared and I said, hey, there's a lot of people doing cruise news right now. I think we could start doing cruise news. So we started to post daily videos in the spring of 2021. And by May of 2021, I actually left my job to do YouTube full time. Because we were like, you know what, we're going to just take this risk and we're going to see what happens. And it was later that year, I want to say maybe July, when our travel agency owner, Beth, reached out to us to ask if we'd be interested in being travel agents. And I said no. And she was persistent. She reached out every 3 weeks after that until I said yes in November. And so I became a travel agent in November 2021. And exactly a year after that, Jared was able to leave his job and join me full time and become a travel agent as well.
Right. And folks, you guys can tell how vicious competitors Jordan and I are, because we do the same things. I've followed much the same footpath as far as becoming an agent. It doesn't matter. We're still going to be friends no matter what.
Absolutely. There's room for the table for everyone.
All right. So you've been on a huge variety of ships. What trends do you see happening in 2026 and beyond?
So, I think the biggest trend is more non-cruisers are cruising than ever before. You see a lot of first-timers on ships more than ever before. I'm also seeing a lot more multi-generational families take cruises. That's been a buzzword. I don't know, Chillie, if you've necessarily caught on to this or not, but I feel like I've seen this word multi-generational family pop up in, just random travel agent spaces over the years. And it's become this buzzword that is like now this really hot word. And as a travel agent, I'm seeing that. We're seeing a lot of parents and grandparents reach out to us that instead of going to Disney or instead of renting a house on the beach in Florida, they're waking up and seeing this value, that cruising really is, and that cruise ships can provide something for everyone in the family, regardless of the age. I also think that I'm totally switching gears. Sorry, I've got a million thoughts going on in my head. I think, I could be wrong, but I think over the last 3 years, we have seen this massive trend of huge ships. I think we will see that pendulum swing back. And I think we're going to see a new generation of smaller ships be released in the next decade. Because I think that you've got new cruisers that like the big ships, and you've got old cruisers. I'm not talking in age, I mean seasoned cruisers that want
the smaller ships.
The smaller ships, the more exotic experience, the destinations that the big ships can't get to. So I think that we're at the big ship side right now. That's definitely, everyone's playing who can build the biggest. I think we're going to see that swing back to the mid-size or smaller cruise ship game in the coming years.
I will be so glad to see that happen.
Me too. I am one for. I mean, I can appreciate a giant ship, and I love the Icon class by Royal Caribbean, but I also love the small ships. I love it when you can get from one end of the ship to the other in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And I love it when you see a crew member 70 times during the week. I love those experiences.
Right. All right. So not everything's a bed of roses for either one of us. You recently had an experience that sucked. Let's just put it bluntly. You shared it beautifully on your channel. I saw it and I said, oh, hell, I got to call Jordan. He's got to come on and talk about this. Tell us about your recent bad experience and what happened and the end result of what's happened since then.
Yeah, so we do group cruises, multiple group cruises a year. We take people on group cruises. And probably a year and a half ago, we had a lot of people putting it in our ear, hey, you should do a Virgin group cruise. You should do a Virgin group cruise. It wasn't even on our radar, to be honest. But we had enough people ask us that we're like, you know what? We'll do it. If people are asking, we'll go on Virgin. So we took a Virgin group cruise, a 4-night Bahamas cruise over Halloween, just this past October. So just a few weeks ago. And if you haven't been, Chillie, have you been on Virgin?
No.
Okay. So Virgin just does things differently. They came online as the anti-cruise cruise line. They didn't want to be anything like the other cruise lines. They wanted to do everything different, which is the Virgin way, for all of their brands. They do some things that are really fun. They don't have a cruise director. They have a drag queen that is high energy and all over the ship at all times and hosts a bunch of stuff. Super, super fun. Jared and I love things like that. They don't have traditional entertainment. They don't have traditional dining on board. Everything is specialty dining. And things are supposed to be much more relaxed on board. So their crew, they have no problem with the crew having tattoos or showing those tattoos. People are supposed to be able to come and be yourself, relax the Virgin way. Well, we really kind of got an understanding of the Virgin way on this one. We had a couple of really major issues. So we had about 56 people in our group on board. The issues started the second that we rolled up to the terminal. One of the big issues that we had was with our folks that needed some accessibility services that just were not readily available. So at the pier, at the very, very beginning of the cruise, they had some of our folks that needed wheelchairs to get on and off the ship, waiting for up to an hour with no place to sit, no designated area to wait or sit or hang out while they waited for these wheelchairs, because they only had a couple of wheelchairs going up and down the ramps. So that was our very first notice that something was really off. Yeah. Those people, unfortunately, had issues kind of along the way. They didn't offer any type of assistance getting up and down the gangway once we got to the other spots, for example, in Bimini, Bahamas. And then it's important to know, this is for all cruise lines, they don't run any shuttle service up and down the pier in Bimini at all. So, it's not the longest pier in the world, but still, it's about a 10-minute walk to get to the transit area to then go to their beach club. And they don't offer golf carts. In fact, they told us that there was no golf carts that would run up and down the pier. Then we saw golf carts delivering a lot of things throughout our time waiting in line, because that was our other issue. Was at each stop we stopped in Key West and Bimini, and waited 1 to 2 hours to get back on the ship.
I would have been screaming.
There was a lot of people that were, and when we were waiting, there was, especially in Bimini, we were all standing out in the heat. There was people passing out. And then, of course, wheelchairs were coming down the gangway and going up the gangway because they were wheeling people into the medical services. But that was a snowball effect. People were waiting in that line. Then they missed their dinner reservation. And dinner reservations are very tight on Virgin. If you miss your dinner reservation, you don't get to go to dinner. You have to go to their galley or their buffet. Any issues that we experienced, anytime it was expressed that we were having a problem at guest services, they were very dismissive, very, very rude. And they just were not your typical guest relations team on board at all. They were kind of the polar opposite from what you would experience on most cruise lines.
Yeah.
Most cruise lines, you have a problem. The very first word that comes out of a guest relations mouth is, "I'm so sorry. Let's try to make this right."
Yeah.
So it was just a series of unfortunate events, and all of our people got off that ship. I shouldn't say all of them. A lot of them got off that ship and said never again. And that just hurts us because, it's our credibility as travel agents. They trusted us with this experience. And we wanted to make it right. And we weren't getting anywhere with Virgin. I just want to make that clear. We were not, no one was talking to us. We could not get our voices across. So Jared and I decided, well, we have a platform, and if Virgin really cares about this experience, we're going to put this online, and we'll see how it goes. And that video went a little viral, and of course, Virgin reached out to us within probably 48 hours of us posting that video, asking us for a Zoom meeting, telling us, apologizing over the email and saying that they want a chance to apologize and make things right face to face. So we, do you want me to go into this next part?
Sure, absolutely.
I'm sorry. I know I feel like I'm just talking a ton.
No. Yeah, you rock and roll.
So we took the Zoom meeting about a week and a half ago, and from my perspective, Chillie, it was a very, very good Zoom meeting. We met with 3 executives: head of guest relations, the head of accessibility, and then the head of all sailor services. And they apologized. They gave us the majority of the meeting. They just turned over to us to talk and share what we wanted to share. And we had a nice outline that we wanted to share with them. And they sent us a follow-up email this past week outlining all of the changes and things that are going to be done on board Virgin Voyages because of the experience on board that sailing, including additional training that's getting done on accessibility measures. They're doing audits at the terminal to find out how long it's taking them to get people up and down the ramps. They're looking at solutions as to how they can be more accessible friendly at the piers of their destinations. And they're doing additional training around all of this with their sailor services or their guest services on board. And I could not be more happy to hear all of that because, our situation sucked. But if out of our situation, they fixed some spots, some blind spots in their service, especially with accessibility. That is the most important thing that, if you're failing in accessibility, you're failing, full stop. That is always my mantra. So I felt like the meeting was really good. I was impressed that they followed up with us. I was impressed that they didn't push back at all. They owned it. They apologized, and they said, we're going to make things right. That's all we can ask for.
Yeah. I was much the same way the first time I got on MSC. I loved the ship. I loved the people. For somebody, now then I wasn't even in a wheelchair. I was just on a scooter. It was awful. But I worked with them. And I started working with them. I've been on 11 of their damn ships now. I love them because they've taken some steps. They've taken my suggestions and the suggestions of some other people in the disabled community and they put it into play. Now, I've not been on the Grandiosa. I have no idea what I'm going to be walking into in February, but I have no problem at all with finding out their main person once I get on board, and we'll sit down and talk about it.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
I can't complain when you point something out to these guys and they fix it. Then I'm okay with that.
Yep. I totally agree.
Yours and Jarrett's fan base is incredibly loyal. Why?
Something that I think we have been able to, and I don't even necessarily say this is Jared or myself, but I firmly believe you attract the people with the type of energy that you kind of put out into the world. We try to put out super positive energy. We try to be really positive about the cruise industry. The cruise industry has problems. Anyone can point those out, right? But we want to champion the cruise industry because we love it. We're passionate about it. And I think that we have attracted some people with very similar thoughts, feelings, and kind of the way they interact with the space. And once people have come on our group cruises, there's a performer on board cruise ships. Her name is Leah Canali, and I kind of owe this a lot to Leah Canali because she preaches in her show Chosen Family. You don't have to be related by blood to be family, and our group cruises have kind of become that. They've become this chosen family of people that have common interests, love to travel, love cruising, and I'm thankful. I'm so thankful. I feel like in a lot of families, you got the rotten one. We don't have that. I love the people that come on our group cruises. There's space for everybody to come on our group cruises, and people have just become so accepting and wonderful, and I'm beyond grateful.
And I will say, folks, if you've never been on one of their cruises, you need to go, because they are much better hosts than I am. And I consider myself pretty decent, but oh my goodness, they're just unbelievable. And I've made such good friends trickling down from Jordan and Jarrett. It's just unbelievable.
I was going to say, when you came on our group cruise, you were a hit, Chillie. People love you, which I fully understand why they love you, because I fell in love with you as well before I ever met you in person.
All right, so let's let your brain go a minute. If you were to design an itinerary, and I'm running out of time, if you were to design an itinerary that would be absolutely perfect for Jordan, I was going to ask Jared the same question. What would it be?
We're talking
and maybe on what ship?
Oh boy. The perfect itinerary for me would probably be, oh my gosh, this is such a hard question, Chillie. All right, I'm gonna say something that I don't think is will ever happen, because I don't think it's possible. But we were chatting a little bit earlier about the Celebrity Edge class ships. We love those ships. Jared and I both love those ships, so I think he would probably agree with this. If I could take a Celebrity Edge class ship on a northern transatlantic, stopping in the northern Atlantic Isles, so northern Canada, heading over to Iceland, doing like a full Iceland cruise, and then heading over to Northern Europe, I think that would be my chosen perfect itinerary. Those transatlantics, they don't always happen on those bigger ships, on like the Edge class ship. They're normally the smaller ships, but that I've done an itinerary similar to that on the Celebrity Summit, one of my favorite cruises of all time. The only thing that would have made it better would have been the ship. And I will say this, I need a different crowd of people, because the people that were on board that cruise were all grumpy.
Okay. Yeah, that kind of sucks when you get a crowd like that.
And it happens every once in a while, but
I'm never grumpy, so.
No, Neither. You know what? I feel like we're in these amazing destinations. You know, when you're in Iceland, it's like being no other place on earth.
Yeah.
And I'm like, just smile.
Be happy with what we've gotten.
Yeah.
All right. What's next for JJ Cruise?
So we have got our group cruise on board the Celebrity Excel leaving this weekend. So Jared and I fly down to Florida this weekend. We head out on a 7-night Western Caribbean cruise. So just popping over to Mexico, Cozumel, and coming back. And then we are actually going to be off ships for about 5 weeks. We try to take a month off every single year.
Yeah.
And we have our happy place. Not everybody knows this. Our happy place is Palm Springs. And we're going to be heading over to Palm Springs the day after Christmas. And we're going to be there for most of the month of January. So we're going to be off ships. As you know, Q1 is a very busy time for travel agents. So we'll be doing a lot of that work there. But we'll be on land. We'll be landlubbers for a few weeks.
Will there be any singing and entertainment involved during the holidays?
Oh, that is yet to be foreseen.
I won't say any more. I promised I would get you off here in 30 minutes because I know you've got another appointment, and I'm going to stick by that. It is, 11:31. That's pretty damn close.
Thank you so much, Chillie.
So I want to miss your appointment.
I want to say thank you for letting me come on, and I'm sorry that Jared couldn't be here. We'll just have to be on another time.
Give Jared a hug and a kiss for me.
I will.
I would if I was with you guys.
I will. And please, you hang in there and take care of yourself. To everyone in the chats, I know I've seen a few chats of people saying hi, hello to everyone, and thank you so much for watching Chillie's video today. And hearing me blabber on. I know that Chillie, I can just talk and talk and talk. It's a problem.
Yeah, I know. We could go on for hours. Hell, I got 18, 19 questions here I didn't even get to in my script. And what the hell? So we have to do this again.
We'll have to do it again.
Yeah, sometime before I die.
That sounds good.
All right. Jordan, thank you so much for being here. I got to get to some news. But before we get to news, folks, let's say goodbye to Jordan, and I'll see you next time. Thanks a lot, Jordan.
Bye,
See you.
everybody.
All right. That was Jordan of JJ Cruise. Sorry Jared couldn't be with us. All right. Before I get to the news, folks, how about a quick break from one of our fine network sponsors, and then Nestor can tune up his pipes. All right, Nestor, we're going to start off today down at Port Canaveral. Port Canaveral, once again, is on top of the heap. Tell us about it.
Port Canaveral has officially secured its place as the world's busiest cruise port, welcoming more than 8.6 million passenger movements in fiscal year 2025, the highest in its history. This milestone pushes the Central Florida home port ahead of Port Miami's 8.5 million passengers, marking a major shift in the cruise industry's landscape. Earning this distinction is a direct reflection of our ongoing commitment to be the best port possible, providing a high-quality experience for all cruise guests, said Port Canaveral CEO Captain John Murray. He credited the port's dedicated team and the strong partnerships with cruise lines for driving this impressive growth. Home to 18 cruise ships across 7 major cruise lines and hosting more than 1,000 annual sailings, Port Canaveral saw a 13% increase in passenger numbers over 2024's 7.6 million. By comparison, Port Miami's growth for the same period was just over 4%. To keep pace with rising demand, Port Canaveral is pushing forward with a $912 million modernization and expansion initiative known as the Port Canaveral Advantage. The 5-year development plan includes expansions to 2 existing cruise terminals, construction of a brand new 7th cruise terminal campus, additional parking facilities, advanced technology to speed up embarkation and debarkation, LNG refueling capabilities to support environmentally friendly ships. With strategic investment and growing cruise line confidence, Port Canaveral is positioning itself not just as the busiest, but as one of the most forward-thinking cruise ports in the world. Princess Cruises is proud to announce that Discovery Princess has been named Coolest Way to See Alaska in the Good Housekeeping 2026 Travel Awards. This prestigious recognition reinforces Princess Cruises' leadership in delivering extraordinary, memory-making vacations. The Good Housekeeping Travel Awards spotlight destinations and experiences that deliver extraordinary value, quality, and joy for families traveling together, from parents with young children to grandparents reuniting with the whole clan. The 2026 winners were selected through a rigorous evaluation process that included expert reviews, consumer feedback, and real-world testing by Good Housekeeping's team of editors. Discovery Princess earned top marks for its unique blend of innovation, luxury, and entertainment, offering a one-of-a-kind setting to celebrate milestones and create lasting memories together. To book Discovery Princess to Alaska in 2026 or 2027, call Chillie at 434-258-9264. Air and sea rescue teams are continuing a search for a guest who went overboard in the Atlantic near the Canary Islands. A UK national, 76, went overboard early on Thursday. The rescue effort is now in its third day. The Spanish Coast Guard is coordinating the search, centered around an area 16.5 nautical miles off the coast of Tenerife. A Guardia Civil patrol boat and helicopter is assisting in the search, which resumed at first light on Saturday. Rescue teams are rotating aircraft and patrol boats. This just in, the search has ended unsuccessfully for a guest overboard from Marella Explorer 2 on Thursday, November 27. Maritime reports are still being issued and local boats are asked to keep watch, but there is no more intensive searching.
All right, so let's see, what do we have next now? I'm trying to figure out why I keep getting that white screen. Oh yeah, we got to talk about Holland America now.
As astronomical wonders continue to capture global attention, Holland America Line announces the addition of astronomy experts to its 2026 solar eclipse cruises. A total solar eclipse will be visible on August 12, 2026, and guests aboard Nieuw Statendam, Oosterdam and Zuiderdam will have exclusive access to lectures, presentations and tips on how to make the most of their eclipse viewing. Boston University professor Mears Oppenheim will be aboard Zuiderdam's 18-day Voyage of the Vikings solar eclipse cruise. University of California San Diego professor Adam Bergasser will join guests on Oosterdam for the 13-day Mediterranean solar eclipse cruise. And Tom Vassos, former professor at University of Toronto, will be aboard Nieuw Statendam's 28-day legendary solar eclipse with Greenland and Scotland cruise. For pricing and booking any of the three, email chillie@bookalaska.net. Philadelphia is officially moving into a new era of cruising after breaking ground on its new 16-acre cruise terminal, scheduled to open in April 2026. Located beside Philadelphia International Airport, the state-of-the-art facility will give the city its own dedicated homeport just in time for the nation's 250th anniversary celebrations. The groundbreaking marks the latest milestone in a major partnership between Philly Port, Norwegian Cruise Line Holdings, and Energy Transfer Marketing and Terminals, following the sale of the former Hog Island dock property. At the December 1, 2025 ceremony, Philly Port Executive Director and CEO Jeff Theobald praised the collaboration that made the project possible. "It took a lot of hard work to bring this agreement together. Energy Transfer and Norwegian Cruise Line were committed every step of the way," he said. "There is still much to do, but we are ready and excited to welcome cruise passengers this spring." As part of a 7-year berthing agreement through March 2033, Norwegian Cruise Line Holdings, representing Norwegian Cruise Line, Oceania Cruises, and Regent Seven Seas Cruises, will serve as Philadelphia's exclusive homeport operator, committing to 41 sailings per year. The new terminal is projected to generate significant economic impact, with officials estimating 2,185 jobs supported and $300 million in annual revenue for Pennsylvania. If you would like to sail from Philadelphia, contact Chillie at 434-258-9264. U.S. citizens who will be flying to their next departure port now need to make extra sure they have another form of identification, their real IDs. U.S. citizens are required to present real IDs in order to board domestic flights, which includes cruisers traveling to and from ports. Starting in February 2026, travelers who don't have real IDs may need to pay $45 before going through a TSA checkpoint. Even then, there is a possibility for delays or not being cleared by TSA agents at all.
Oh my God. I got to work with Nestor. It's not IDs, it's IDs. I missed that this morning. Sorry. Yeah, that was about real IDs, folks.
MSC Foundation and UNICEF have announced the next phase of their 16-year partnership with the launch of the Learning Bridge, a major 3-year initiative designed to transform education for nearly 400,000 children in the Philippines, particularly in the underserved Mindanao region. Mindanao faces one of the country's toughest education crises, marked by low literacy and enrollment rates. Extreme weather, limited school facilities, and a shortage of trained teachers continue to widen the learning gap. The Learning Bridge will introduce scalable, innovative solutions, from modern teaching methods tailored for large classrooms to a climate-smart floating school that ensures students can continue learning in flood-prone communities. MSC Group Executive Chairman Pierfrancesco Vago emphasized the program's importance, noting the company's deep ties to the Philippines, where many MSC employees and crew members originate. UNICEF Deputy Executive Director Kitty van der Heijden added that strengthening education is essential to breaking cycles of poverty and protecting children whose lives are increasingly shaped by climate challenges. The Port of Galveston has issued a new traffic alert for cruise passengers traveling between December 5 and December 25, 2025. As roadway construction once again impacts vehicle access to the cruise terminals. Updated traffic patterns affect guests heading to Terminal 25 and Terminal 28. Terminal 25, serving Carnival Cruise Line. All vehicles must enter via 23rd Street and exit via 33rd Street. Terminal 28, serving Carnival Cruise Line, Disney Cruise Line, and Princess Cruises. All vehicles must enter and exit via 33rd Street. Port officials strongly recommend parking in official Port of Galveston cruise lots and using the port shuttle system for luggage drop-off. Pedestrians coming from downtown should use the 25th Street entry and exit. These updated instructions differ slightly from the October 2025 traffic plan, when all Terminal 25 guests were required to enter and exit at 23rd Street. Access rules for Terminal 28 remain unchanged. The port has been upgrading its internal roads to reduce congestion on Harborside Drive. According to Port Director and CEO Roger Rees, the roadway improvements are nearing completion. This traffic advisory remains in effect through December 25, 2025, when construction is expected to wrap up.
Cruise around the world with the Will Model C2. That's the chair that I use. Our chairs will easily fit through accessible cabin doors and can navigate those tight spaces and crowded places. To see if Will may be right for you, click on the link below to schedule a test drive. Just tell them to use code Chillie for all your mobility needs. That's scootaroundstore.com.
And that actually puts an end to the news portion of today's show. What a great show it was. What a great interview that was with Jordan. Oh my goodness. That's going to rank right up there at the right near the top of the best interviews ever on this show, I think. Wonderful. Just wonderful. All right, let's go see who's fussing at me over in the chat room. Mike's with us. Good morning, Mike. Jamin's here. How are we doing, Jamin? Hope you didn't have an adverse reaction to your iron infusion. No, not really, other than I had no idea it was going to take so damn long. 2.5 hours, that kind of sucks. It's about 2 hours for the infusion, and then you got to flush it for 30 minutes. I mean, yeah, I'm in a comfortable chair, and it goes back and the legs come up, and there's a television. When I got my phone, in a urinal, if I have to pee, I can stand up and pee. They get screened off. But no, I didn't have an adverse reaction at all. I mean, other than this business with low blood pressure, and I have no idea what that's from. There's Hot Air Tom. Oh, you know what? I had some pictures from Hot Air Tom, and I didn't have time to get to them today. All right, I'll save that for Friday, Tom. Sorry about that. I have some stuff loaded from you. I got sidetracked with Jordan. Anyway, I'll take care of it. There's Joanne. Says, good morning. Love me some JJ Cruise. Yeah, me too, Jez. They are two of the most delightful people in the world. There's Steve out in Kentucky. How are we doing, Steve? Good to have you with us. And there's Sunny. She's down in Mississippi. Says, hello, Chillie and JJ Cruise. How was the iron infusion? Yeah, well, it was a pain in the ass. Yeah, no, not a pain in the ass, pain in the arm. But that's okay. It's just way too much time. I'm too, I want to get on with things. 2.5 hours is too long. There's Cindy. Hi, Cindy. She says, good morning, everybody. And there's Gretchen out in Ohio. Joanne says hi to Jordan. There's amigo John up in Crookston, Minnesota. Says, hi, everybody. No corporate meeting for me today, so I get to be live on the show with everybody. You're going to be 14 below. We're going to be 14 below tonight. Ooh, glad it's you. I'm not sure. We're supposed to have a couple inches of snow tomorrow. JJ Cruise, the best group cruises too. They are. I had so much fun with them. I did 2 group cruises with them, and then I did the vloggers cruise, and we were on there with Tony and Don and a whole bunch of other people. But that was well worth the extra money I spent for it, just to be with them again. There's Katie with us. Says, welcome to Jordan. Thank you, Katie. There's Kenneth up in Pennsylvania. Says, good morning, everybody. Todd's with us. Awesome interview. Thank you very much. I follow them also. Good, Todd. Glad to hear that. There's Bob. Have a great day. Stay warm. Joanne says, great job, Jordan and Jared. Accessibility is very important. Yeah, I'm sorry we didn't have Jared today. That would have been, I had several questions lined up to throw at both of them to see if I couldn't get a difference of opinion. But anyway, we'll do that another time. So I'm going to have to check out another one of their group cruises and do that. Chillie walking in onto Grandiosa. Let's rephrase to riding. Well, I don't have a problem with going on the Grandiosa. I may have a problem with some ports. I don't know until I get there and I talk to them. John, did you find a place to stay in Port Canaveral? Hasn't looked yet because I think the Express is full. Our couch is available or the other side of Chillie's bed. Yeah, thanks, Tom, says John. Can I say no thanks, Tom? Both the Holiday Inn Express at Port Canaveral and the resort we are in are booked full the 6th of February. I'll answer that. Jordan and Jared are wonderful and have a great community. Mom and I are big fans. Agree. My dream is that the Epic will start porting in Florida again, particularly in Canaveral. I don't like going to Puerto Rico. Nothing wrong with Puerto Rico. I just don't like the mess of getting to the airport and cut you off. Joanne says bye to Jordan. Enjoy the cruise. Thanks, Jordan, from Cindy. Katie says hi, Joanne. Hope you're keeping well. There's Roger in Jacksonville. Hi, Roger. Better yet than real ID, should get a passport. Oh yeah, I totally agree with that. And I probably should have pointed that out a little clearer than I did. Of course, again, that's my fault that I did not catch the Nestor's mispronunciation. Whoops, what do I have John still on here? Oh, that's way back. Hide current comment. Okay. What was I saying? Oh yeah, that cut John off there by saying bye. Enjoy the cruise. Oh yeah, Roger from Jacksonville. Oh yeah, the real ID. That's what I started to say. Totally agree. If you got passports, you don't have to have one. When I had to go get my new driver's license, I asked about it. I said, okay, what do I need here? Do I have to have that on top of a passport and a passport card? Oh, no. Your passport or your passport card will do fine. You don't have to have a real ID on top of that. It's for those that don't and try to get by without it. I highly recommend that people get their passport. I saw a rumor that NCL will stop accepting alternate IDs for closed loop cruises in 2026. Not sure if this is true, but I think it would be a good thing. I have heard that as well. Young Zila reposted this stream. Thank you very much. I do appreciate that. Joanne says, hi, Katie, doing okay? Mike says, marvelous interview with Jordan. Thank you very much, Mike. I enjoyed that, whether you guys did or not. That was just terrific. So, all right, guys, that's going to wrap me up for today. I will be back on Friday. I will catch Hot Air Tom stuff up from Oceania. I asked Jordan about Oceania. They have not been on Oceania yet. However, they did some training with Oceania and are very interested in going on Oceania. And I told them that Hot Air Tom was on it. Hot Air Tom and Cindy were on Oceania right now. So it's just one of the things. I was on a bit of a time frame because Jordan had another appointment scheduled that he was backed up to. So I had to get him on and off. So I didn't want to cut into his next thing because I mean that's how they make their living now. So, all right, guys, that's it for today. As always, smash that thumbs up button. Would appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed, please consider this as my invitation to do so. Smash that thumbs up button and you'll know when I go live or when a new video is posted. That's it for now. As always, stay safe, stay healthy, think about cruising, and hopefully one day soon we'll all get together on the high seas. Have a fabulous Wednesday. I'll see everybody back here on Friday if I don't see you before then.
I regularly post videos on all facets of the travel and cruise industry. So if you like to keep up with the latest in cruise ships, ports of call, cruises themselves, Chillie chats, and travel and cruise industry news, just hit the little subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner, hit the bell notification so you'll be notified when a new video is up or we go live. This video was produced by Chillie's Cruises.